From Hawthorne High School, Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Television presents the 2004 CIF Playoffs. Welcome to Halcap Field. I'm Mike Kennedy along with Brandon Nash. It's the first round of Division IV CIF Playoffs. Last week, Hawthorne, with a 17-13 win over Santa Monica, cinched an undefeated Ocean League title. And it was a great game, and the defense led the way, Brandon.
That's right, Mike. The defense is what stepped up big time in that game. They were actually led by junior Damon Alosi and quarterback Vaniaku Naa, number 10 and number 7, respectively. Both of those guys really showed up. Damon having 3 sacks to finish off the drive that Santa Monica was trying to push, really guaranteed and put a stamp on that league title for Hawthorne coming into this week.
You know, the unsung hero for Hawthorne all season has been Magic Naha, their outstanding quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people have praise for Magic out here. He's got a sign actually up here for the playoffs saying, "Do you believe in Magic?" Number 10. He's kind of been the one that's been doing a lot of things for him this year. He's the quarterback of the team. He's the leader of the team. And you saw last week he did a lot of big things on defense, a few tackles for losses. We should expect some big things out of him tonight.
Now, Channel Islands, tonight's opponent, a 7-3 record, and they like to run the ball with Madeo, their tailback.
Yeah, Madueno, he's a tough guy. He's actually missed a few games this year, but totally had 800 yards in 5 games. He's a really complete back. The coach had a lot of good things to say about him. They're going to try to put the ball in his hands as much as possible. And even though they were only 3-2 in league this year, they lost to number 1 Rio Mesa, who was undefeated, and Camarillo, 2 big heavy contenders in Division 4.
Rufus Washington will join us with the play-by-play. We're coming back with the opening kickoff. It's the first playoff game hosted by Hawthorne in 6 years. This should be a good one. You're watching the CIF Playoffs on Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Television.
Good evening, fans. I'm Rufus Washington, and welcome to another exciting Channel 22 sports presentation. I'm joined, as always, by my partner, Michael Kennedy. We are here at Halcap Field for this first round CIF Southern Section Division 4 playoff game. The Hawthorne Cougars, representing the Ocean League, will come in tonight, will host, rather, Channel Island Raiders from the Pacific View League. Hawthorne comes in with a 5-0 record, so they have an excellent opportunity here. This looks to get a good playoff run going with a home field advantage tonight, Michael.
Well, Jerry Madueno, he's the lead running back for Channel Islands and missed a couple of games in the middle of the season with a sprained ankle. He still ran for over 800 yards, and last week he ran for 180 yards in a win over Hueneme. While Hawthorne goes undefeated in the Ocean League, 5-0, as they knocked off Santa Monica in a game we covered last week, 17-13. It was an outstanding job by quarterback Magic Naa and, of course, tailback Alex Gaines. And the defense came with 3 sacks at the conclusion on the final 3 plays for Santa Monica that took them out of scoring range and ensured the first playoff and title for Hawthorne in 6 years.
So, Cougars coming in, they're pumped up. The season got off to a bit of a slow start, but once they got it turned around, and in particular, Michael got in the league play, which, as we mentioned, where they dominated the Ocean League, finishing up with a 5-0 record. The Cougars have certainly played their way into this year's playoff system.
Well, they got big wins started back early in the season with a win over Maricosta. They defeated South Torrance. Their only loss in the early season was the Mayor's Cup to Lusinger. Then they picked up wins over Beverly Hills, Morningside, and Santa Monica last week. So we're ready for the opening kickoff, and Channel Islands will be down to your left in the white and gold, and Hawthorne to the right. One thing we want to mention is that Simi Cooley, the big tight end, defensive linebacker, is out of tonight's game with a sprained knee. He was injured early in the game against Santa Monica. Coach Hawthorne expects him back next week.
So the Cougars will be kicking off as the Raiders of Channel Islands. They're from Ventura County, for you fans who may not be familiar with them. And here is our opening kickoff, taken at about the 5-yard line. Comes right up the middle, has a seam, brings it out to the 39, where it'll be first down and 10 for the Raiders.
The special teams have always been a strong point for Hawthorne, but here's a nice return of about 35 yards and gives them excellent field position. They'll start at the 40-yard line. There's Medueno. He's the key to this offense.
Medueno, the running back, their feature back in the program. They come out in the I formation, hand it off to the second man through, who's Medueno. He turns the left corner, gets pushed out of bounds, but not until he picks up about 7 on the play.
Head coach for Channel Islands Raiders is Donnie Ray. Last year their team went 5-5, and when I talked with him earlier in the week, he wanted to know how Redondo was doing, because last year in the first round of the playoffs they were knocked off by Redondo, and he said, how's this kid Ellison doing? I said, well, he's probably one of the top 3 backs here in the South Bay. He's talking to Kevin Ellison out of Redondo Union, and they're in the playoffs with an 8-2 record.
So Jeff Beck, their quarterback, at the line of scrimmage, hands off again. They would appear to have the first down as they cross the midfield stripe. And of course, Jeff Beck, and for those of you who are fans of music, particularly guitarists, know that one of the better known guitarists carries the same name of Jeff Beck. So it's a first down. This is the opening drive of the game. Fans, we're just underway here at Halcap Field. Once again, keeping it on the ground. And on this carry, they pick up maybe 5, but a flag comes in from the far side, from the visitors' side of the field.
2 key losses for the Raiders on the season were against Rio Mesa, one of the top seeds in Division 4. By a score of 35-14, Rio Mesa went 10-0 on the year, and also a 30-24 overtime loss to Camarillo. Here's a face mask penalty against the Hawthorne Cougars. The Cougars 2 weeks ago against Morningside had 10 penalties for over 100 yards. Last week they cut that in half, and now they've picked up their first penalty that gives Channel Islands a first down at about the 44-yard line.
So it's a 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Once again, out of the eye of the Cougar defense, hits Medueno right at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard behind.
Big stop by Fanua. Loss of about 1. Channel Islands with a 3-game winning streak. Defeated Pacifica, Oxnard, and Hueneme to reach this first round of the CIF playoffs in Division 4.
So it's a 2nd and 11 now. They fake the handoff. Beck drops back. Betts hits his receiver. His receiver, of course, number 44, coming out of the backfield, was Daniel Ramirez. 5'8", 220-pound senior.
The man that they like to favor as far as a favorite target as a receiver is Prado, their tight end, 6'4", 225 pounds. Pick him out as number 89. He's also the key to their defense along with Herrera.
So it is a 3rd and long now, a situation that the Cougar defense enjoys, gives them a couple options on this one as they drop back to pass. Beck pump fakes, passes across the middle, throws a dangerous pass, nearly intercepted by a couple of Cougars. 2 in particular were there with a shot at. The first was Damon Oliseh, and Naa, who doubles as a quarterback, was also right in the vicinity. Ball sailed through both of them's hands.
They saw that screen. They read it all the way. They had one defender in Beck's face and then 2 other defenders right in the middle of the screen. Oliseh had the 3 sacks along with Perez last week to shut down Santa Monica's final drive. And now they're lining up, and we got to check the leg if he's going to try a 55-yard field goal.
The way they're setting it up, that's what it would be, and that forces the Cougars into a timeout here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. This timeout gives me an opportunity to mention to you and remind you fans about the Lawndale Family Festival and City Sidewalk Sale, which is coming up next weekend as we speak, Thanksgiving weekend. So after you've enjoyed all your turkey and your family and your friends and some football, come on out to the Lawndale Family Festival and Community Sidewalk Sale. Thanksgiving weekend, November 26th, 27th, and 28th. Get free raffle tickets from participating businesses as there will be a raffle every hour. We'll have 3 bands, food, pet and zoo, jumpers for the kids. And for more information, check out the city's website at www.lawndale.city.com.
Felipe Macias is their kicker. They've got a lot of confidence in him against Oxnard. He had 3 field goals and a 24-0 win, 23, 43, and 42-yard field goals. And now this one will be for 55 yards.
Cougar defense also setting up for a trick play. There is no trick. The kick is up. Looks like it's going to sail to the left. It shows no good, but contact was made with the kicker, and a flag comes in as a result. Personal foul, illegal contact with the kicker, and that's going to keep the drive alive for Channel Islands, Michael, right when the Cougars had the opportunity to get the ball in excellent field position.
Donnie Ray gambled. The kick comes up short, and they'll pick up a first down. Had the ball for about 2.5 minutes on this opening drive.
And, of course, the Cougars would have gotten it at the line of scrimmage, which from where they kicked it at, now they're marking it off. Okay, they mark it 15 from the line of scrimmage. It was at the 39. They take it down, wow, to the 21. So actually, they must be going to say it was at about the 35. 15-yard penalty, though, gives Channel Islands the ball in excellent field position. Those kind of mistakes you cannot afford to make, particularly in playoff football.
Well, this is the second penalty on this drive. They had a face mask penalty earlier, and now they get the roughing the kicker.
So out of the first down with the man in motion, they keep it on the ground to their feature back who goes around the right side. That's Medueno. Medueno picks up about 4, maybe 5 on the carry.
In last week's win against Hueneme, Medueno had 3 touchdowns on runs of 2, 11, and 29 yards, and their kicker Macias added a 35-yard field goal, so they're pretty potent on the ground, especially when they've got Medueno at that tailback. As we mentioned, he was out a couple of games, and the slack was picked up by Herrera, and we'll give you his numbers when he carries.
This time they fake a handoff before they do give it to Medueno, and Medueno goes around left side this time. Short yardage on the play, maybe a yard. Cougar defense so far having played very well, a couple of costly penalties. Otherwise, we'd be seeing the Cougar offense on the field right now. Fans, we've got 8:20 clock running here in the first quarter at Hellcat Field. Scoreless contest so far. First possession of the game.
Perez makes a nice stop, and he assisted last week in shutting down Poindexter for Santa Monica in that last drive. So he gets his first stop this evening.
Beck drops back. Beck lays it up and in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, big number 89. You just gave us his name, Mike. I'll need to write that down.
Is the tight end, and they like to go to him. He's their target. Stands 6'4" and 225 pounds. Back defending was Marcus Butler. Played a key role in last week's win, both offense and defensively. Now Macias will set up for a field goal. It'll be a 35-yard attempt.
4th and short, and he had some good distance on the last one, and this one is good. The last one, which was a 45-yarder, came up just short, so you could expect that one would certainly go through to the crossbars. Whether it went through is a different story. Of course, it did. And so with that, at the 7:56 mark of the first quarter, Channel Islands on their opening possession keep the drive alive, courtesy of 2 Hawthorne penalties, gets them in position for the field goal. So they lead by a score right now of 3-0 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
Well, Macias, that's quite a weapon. As I mentioned, he kicked 3 field goals against Oxnard. He had a big one against Wainimi, and he did it all season long. And your kicking game will help you win games.
Well, the guy definitely has a big leg, and that time it paid off for the Raiders. Cougars now soon to prepare for their first opportunity. And they've got guys back deep respecting the kicking ability of the Raiders. That one sails into the end zone, but we've got a flag on the play. Indication is that it's going to be offsides against Channel Islands, so that's going to back them up 5 yards. And they'll kick this one from the 35 this time.
So this is going to be an advantage for Hawthorne. They'll move their kick receivers up to about the 5-yard line as Macias places the ball on the near side of the field. Of course, they're Butler and Gaines back to receive. Plenty of speed, right? Those two. So
it's hard to kick it away from any one of them. Comes to one of the up men. Butler finally gets a hand on it. Butler sees some running room. Butler breaks through. Butler brings it into Channel Island territory at the Channel Island 45-yard line. So the Cougars will get their first possession of the game in excellent field position already in Channel Island territory. Bit of a mishandle initially. Butler, who's one of the sure-handed return men, decides, I'll take it. Since it's bouncing around, picks it up. And except for the last line of defense was nearly gone.
Brings it up at about the 23 all the way back to the 45. Gets about a 33-yard return. Now we get to see Na'a and Gaines. Olioso's not sure where to line up in this formation, and now they're really confused. They've got the big tackle lined up in the backfield. Lasky.
And they come with 3 backs in. They get to Vunatui Aleaka, and he gets around the right side, gets enough for the first down as he gets inside the 35 near the 34-yard line. First down for the Cougars on their first play from scrimmage. They pick up 11.
So they come with a bull backfield. Gaines is on the bench. Now Gaines comes in after Tuia Halamaka picks up the first down and gains about 12. Now we'll look at Alex Gaines.
Alex Gaines, one of the premier running backs in the South Bay.
1,125 yards rushing, 6.4 average per carry, and 12 touchdowns, an average of 112 yards per game. They're just checking the clock, and they're going to signal to start the clock.
We'll talk about some of the other South Bay stars when we get an opportunity. This time to give it off to Gaines. Gaines, following his blockers, is going to pick up a tough yard on this play.
Well, we talked about Kevin Ellison. We've got Jason Taylor we've seen this year. We've got Alex Gaines over here. We've got Josh Catrone that we saw at Torrance. We've got Fletcher from
Got a couple of
Morningside.
guys over at Lawndale High who aren't too bad.
So we've got Hassan Scott over at Lawndale. So there's a whole host of running backs.
Tui Alamaka in the backfield, but the handoff is to the number Fanua, 22 Tiu Fanua. So one of the things that the Hawthorne coaching staff is doing, Mike's a little different. They're giving them different looks. Obviously, Channel Island knows that this team features the running game. One of the things Coach Hotel apparently has decided to do is let's throw them a little bit off balance by giving them a look at some different guys so they aren't quite sure where we're going to go. Of course, they find themselves now with a 3rd and 8 at needing to get inside the 25 to about the 24 to pick up the first down.
Well, the defense is the strength of this team from Channel Islands. They give up just 12 points a game.
Now back to pass. Now is going to be sacked. In on the sack for Channel Islands was Jeff Beck, their quarterback, number 8. So that sack is going to take Hawthorne out of any field goal possibility, and instead will force them to punt.
And now the special teams are confused. They've got 12 players on the field. Nah comes back in. He lines up right inside. Is he the snapper?
Snapper's mishandle. Boy, this play really did not go to Cougars' way, and they're going to turn it over on downs at the 45-yard line is where Channel Islands will get the ball on the botched punt attempt by the Cougars.
Nah may have been the long snapper. It was a low snap, and Fanua picked it up and was fortunate enough under that rush to carry it back to that line of scrimmage and gives Channel Islands possession at their own 45 without even having to have a punt return.
But I think the main thing that you noted, Michael, and here right now looks almost like a busted play for Channel Islands, but their quarterback Beck makes something out of it as he picks up 5 yards on the play, takes it across midfield into Cougar territory. Nose of the football right at the 49-yard line. But the point was the Cougars made a couple of one, they've had penalties, they've had a couple of mistakes, too many guys on the field, things like that. Not quite in sync just yet. And you don't get a lot of time because when you're in playoff football, you're one and done. So they better pull it together real quickly.
Yeah, we saw what happened when they played Morningside.
There's a pass by Beck. Hits the receiver, number 11 for them. And, of course, that's Chris Torres. That's enough for the first down as they take it down inside the 35 to the 34-yard line.
Torres is wide open. He runs a slant pattern across the middle, and there's no single coverage. He makes that cut, and they hit him on the break.
So it's a first down and 10. Again, keeping the ball on the ground, breaking a couple of tackles for them is the lead blocker, who they give it to this time. And that's number 40 in your program, Nick Porter. So Channel Islands giving a little dose of their own medicine, spreading the wealth around, putting it in a couple of different running back hands.
Well, they're in the red zone now at the 20.
Of course, one of the challenges about playoff football, and I'll develop that point in a moment, we'll come back to it. This time, keeping it on the ground for them is Medueno. Medueno gets down near the goal line.
They just ran a trap play off the left side. It opened up. He had plenty of room. Takes it to about the 4. And he's got a 16-yard gain.
So they can pick up a first down here. It's a second and 1. There's Beck under center. Medueno is he up? No, he was the deep back. They give it to Medueno. And Looks like he's going to have enough for the first as he moves even closer to the goal line. So it's going to be first and goal now.
They're just going to stay on the ground, give it to Modueno, and just hammer it home.
So Cougars right now, we're in first quarter action, winding down under 3 minutes left in the first quarters. Cougars already down by 3. Good Cougar defense here, led by big number 76. Don't get to call his name off, and that's Desi Perez. And also in on that tackle was Vincent Atofu.
Well, this is where the Hawthorne defense is going to earn their letter. They need to make a stop and not drop behind 10-0 in the first quarter.
So it's a second and goal play now for Channel Islands. Fake by Beck. Beck under pursuit. Beck lets it go. The reception, now it falls incomplete, but we're going to get a flag on the play. This may be a face mask call against the Cougars. We'll wait for the referee to give us the official signal.
The interference is the call. Butler was defending against Porter, and Porter came back from the goal line, tried to make the reception about the 3 or 4 yard line. And there's Butler coming over the back. That looks like a clean play.
That looks real clean. That's one of those that's awfully close. You got to give the kid Butler a lot of credit. That seemed to have been timed just perfectly. So it's a fresh set of downs. Still first down. Modueno with the carry. Hit from behind by Desi Perez, and also in on the tackle was Terrell Kendall. Cougar defense spending a lot of time on the field, Michael. They're right. They're bucking up to the task, but you can only ask so much of your defense. We've got 1:57 left in this quarter.
Well, you're right, Rufus. This is the 10th play on the drive, including one for a penalty on the pass interference.
Modueno again with the carry, and he gets in on that carry. 4-yard carry for Modueno extends the Channel Island lead now to 9-0 with their extra point attempt coming up.
Well, that was a good solid drive, except for the penalty against Hawthorne. He gets a big block by the tight end on the left side, Prado. He opens up the hole, and Modueno is in for his first score of the night. He had 3 last week against Hueneme as he rushed for 180 yards. And the conversion is up and good by Macias. It's 10-0.
So, with 1:44 left here in the first quarter, the Cougars now find themselves down by a margin of 10-0 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. And we should also, and we've got Brandon Nash. Okay, well, as we prepare to go to Brandon, let me also emphasize the point very clearly that not only is this a Lawndale broadcast, but it's also made possible by the good folks at Hawthorne Community Cable Channel 22 as well, and we certainly want you to be aware of and acknowledge their support of this fine sports programming that we're able to bring to you here in the Hawthorne-Lawndale community.
Well, maybe Brandon down on the sideline can get a little better feel, but it appears as if Hawthorne is very, very flat. They looked emotional in their pregame warm-ups. We were down on the field talking with the coaches, but they have come out flat and have committed some costly penalties and a bad snap on a punt, giving good field position to Channel Islands.
That kick sails into the end zone, so the Cougars will take over at their own 20-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 with them trailing by a margin of 10-0 now. All right, Brandon Nash, our erstwhile sideline report, is ready. So let's go down sideline fans to Channel 22's own Brandon Nash.
Thanks a lot, Rufus. Right now, the Channel Island Raiders, they're coming out with a lot of steam. I just saw, as you guys just saw right now, they ran the ball really hard. a couple of miscues on special teams by Hawthorne. They let the running into the kicker, roughing the kicker penalty extend the first drive. That led to a field goal. Miscue on the punt, where 10 fumbled on the punt. That led to the drive just now that led to a touchdown. Channel Islands and Jerry Medwin are running really hard. I don't know if the coaches expected that or not, but right now Hawthorne, they're looking to find a stop. The coaches are trying to get their players energized. We got the sidelines screaming defense. We got the fans screaming defense. Let's see what happens here in the rest of the first quarter leading into the second, see if Hawthorne can come up with a stop. Back to you guys upstairs.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. And Brandon certainly gave us a good bird's eye view, Michael, of what's going on down there. We saw a flag on the play. The referee, who is Jim Steele, decides to wave the flag off, and Alex Gaines will get the benefit of a 5-yard carry on that play.
Well, Brandon succinctly confirmed what I thought, is that Hawthorne had come out and played very flat during this first quarter.
That's their quarterback. Of course, we've called his name all season. Nah, done a very fine job at quarterbacking with the man in motion. He throws it out in the flat, hits Butler. Butler has some running room, turns it up right, and is finally pushed out of bounds by Andre Tololo, but not until after he picks up a first down and takes the ball out across the 40.
Last week, that was a dangerous pass that went incomplete and could turn into a lateral and a live ball, but here's a nice play by Butler as he takes it right up the sideline in front of the Raiders bench. Tuliolo making the stop. The rest of the officials, Jerry Troutman is the line judge, Alfonso Groves is the umpire, David Gutierrez is the back judge, Ralph Aranda is the head linesman, and Jim Steele the referee.
So out across the 40, it's a first down. Nah drops back to pass, lays one over the middle, hits his receiver. He's got a first down, turns it up inside, takes it down to the 35-yard line before he's finally brought down. Good pass by Nah. Excellent reception that time by Richard Tuihalamaka.
So we've got Vanu Tuihalamaka, 45, and Richard, 44. They're going to play a big role in tonight's game. Good protection, and Magic completes it right at midfield. Tuihalamaka should have kept coming to the sideline rather than cut it back. Tuliolo makes the stop.
This time they give it on the ground to Gaines. Gaines bounces off a couple of tackles. Gaines still on his feet. Gaines still on his feet as he gets down near the 10-yard line.
Well, he picks up about 20 to near the 13 and a first down. Now, this is the Cougars that we saw last week against Santa Monica.
Cougars recognizing they need to get a score quickly. We've got 31 seconds left in the first quarter. Cougars' deepest penetration of the ball game. They call it the 14. Looks more like the 13. Excellent field position for the Cougars now. Man in motion. Again, keeping it on the ground. This is Vona Tuihalamaka. Picks up a couple of tough yards, maybe gets to the 10-yard line on that carry as the first quarter clock will expire. But as it expires, the Cougars are on the prowl on Lawndale and Hawthorne's Community Cable, Channel 22. They're at the 10-yard line, knocking on the door as they trail by a margin of 10-0 to the visiting Raiders from Channel Islands. There you get a shot of some of the fans who are out tonight in support of this Cougar effort. And right now, of course, we see the coaching staff of the Cougars going over some key plays here. Obviously, a scoring opportunity for the Cougars, and one that they won't want to let get away from them.
Just looking at the brackets, well, we've got a minute here. Hawthorne is the top end of the bracket. Other teams in the bracket are the #1 seed St. Bonaventure, Royale, San Marcos, San Luis Obispo, and Camarillo are all in that upper bracket. In the bottom bracket, there's Santa Monica and Culver City. So the winner of tonight's game will meet the winner of St. Bonaventure and Moore Park. And you don't want to win the first round and then have to meet the #1 seed, St. Bonaventure, that's a powerhouse in the second round.
Particularly after having played them last year. Of course, I think the Cougars have a sense of payback if it comes down to that, and playing St. Bonaventure. That was games with the carry, picked up very little yardage on the play, fans. But as I mentioned, and those of you who are the Cougar faithful know that last year we in fact made the trip up to Moore Park College as the Cougars went up to play the St. Bonaventure team. Bit of a mismatch last year, quite frankly. Cougars backed into the playoffs, virtue of a 1-1-1 record. Not to say that they didn't earn the trip, which they did, but just an overwhelming show by St. Bonaventure. Naa under center. Third down. Now we've got a flag on the play. It's going to be delay a game against the Cougars. So the Cougars were at the 10-yard line. That's what they're saying. Now they're going to back them up. Looks like they're they were at the 10, so it's going to back them up to the 15.
Unofficially now, that's their 4th penalty. And all of the penalties have come in critical situations. This one, they were at the 8-yard line. Moved them back.
Going in the wrong direction, so it's a big third down play, Michael. One that, quite frankly, and now they're having to spend a timeout. Again, reflective. Here we are in the first minute of the second quarter. Cougars having to use their second timeout here in the first half. Of course, can't much blame them for calling it here, considering you're in a scoring opportunity and you don't want this opportunity to be wasted.
Hawthorne wins the Ocean League with a 5-0 record. They go 7-3 on the year. The rest of the teams here in the Hawthorne Lawndale Community Television broadcast range, Lusinger finished at 3-7 and 1-4 in the Bay League. And Lawndale closed out in their first year of varsity competition. We've got to give credit over there to Mando Padilla. They went 4-6 and 2-3 in the Pioneer League. North Torrance seems to be the #2 seed in their division. They're 9-1 on the year. They're the team to beat over there. And then, of course, out of the Bay League, they've got Redondo and Peninsula, a couple of their powerhouses.
Of course, we covered right here on Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Channel 22 the very first varsity game of Lawndale, the Cardinal, and that game against Bishop Montgomery, which they won. Now it drops back to pass. Hits his intended receiver. Touchdown!
That's Bernard with the score.
Glenn Bernard on the touchdown pass from the 13-yard line. And I was going to comment on it earlier as we're early in second quarter action, fans, but that touchdown as we watch the replay here.
Good protection, excellent hands. It goes through, and then he juggles it, makes the catch, and Bernard in with the score. And they're right back in the game. They go 80 yards in 6 plays.
And more importantly, that touchdown and score and the extra point is good, brings the crowd back into it, because that was one of the other factors early on that Channel Islands had taken this home field crowd out of it. And what's the use of having a home field advantage if you don't have a home field crowd cheering you on? So now they've got the crowd back into it. They're preparing to kick off. We've got ourselves a 10-7 ball game now here in the second quarter of this first round CIF Southern Section Division 4 playoff game.
Well, Magic's the #3 passer in the Ocean League. 775 yards. That it was his 6th touchdown pass of the season to go with 5 interceptions. But this is a big one. Brings him right back.
So the Cougars, there you see the Cougar spirit there. Cougars preparing for the kickoff now. Bit of a squib kick handled by one of the guys up front, and he brings it out to the 33-yard line where it'll be first down and 10 for the Raiders.
Well, we'll see what kind of momentum if this really fires up the defense now, because Channel Islands has been able to just eat up the clock and have ball control and go right down the field on their last drive.
Beck on the center. This time they come out of the eye. Beck rolls out the pass. Beck lays it over the middle and nearly hit his favorite receiver, Prado. But along the way, a couple of Cougar defenders got a hand on it. They had a shot at it as well, and the crowd grimaces at what might have been.
We can see Magic is back there. Not much pressure until Olease puts a crack on the quarterback. And there it sails right over the intended receiver, tipped it, and then Prado was the deeper receiver. He might have been able to pick it off.
It looks like Butler got a hand in there, and he tipped it yet again, which was just enough to get it out of Prado's hand. Beck again drops back the pass on the screen play. Set up pretty well. Nice tackle in there by, looks like, Naha.
And again, it's Prado.
Coach Al Hoteling there going over a couple of assignments with one of his assistant coaches. So it's a third down play now for the Raiders of Channel Islands. They need to get out to about the 44. Once again, a pass out in the right flat. It's good enough for the first down. That reception made by Chris Torres.
Well, the biggest play on the season from Beck to Prado was 65 yards a week ago in that 32-14 win over Wainimi. So they're pretty familiar with each other.
And if you're looking at big number 7 in there and wondering how big is that kid, that's Willie Ambrose. He's 6'3", 275-pound senior. This time they keep it on the ground. Medueno with the carry, short gain on the play.
Well, Hawthorne's going to stack the center of the line on run situations. Now it brings up 3rd and about 9.
3rd and 9, ball's at the 47-yard line. Two-step drop, lays the pass out there. It's intercepted. Intercepted by Naha. Naha has some running room. Naha gets stripped of the football by Medueno. It looks like. Medueno stripped Naha as he was running by. Medueno literally was on the ground, it appeared, reached up, took the ball out of Naha's hand at the 44-yard line. No, not the 44, excuse me, fans. At the 34.
Here's another look at it. It's intercepted at the 40. Naha loses Prado, who slips. He's pointing, give me some help, give me some help. Avoids one tackler at the 40. Ball gets stripped by Medueno, just takes it away from him. He's careless handling the ball. He was trying to point where the blockers were, and it's a big turnover situation.
They keep it on the ground this time as they get it out near the 40. At the bottom of that pile was Danny Ramirez. One of the more interesting plays I think you'll ever see. And while Medueno wasn't down, he was certainly going down. But as you said, went for the strip.
He was just careless with the ball. You know, he was excited he had the return. He was looking for 6. He only got about 35 yards on the return.
Shades of Leon Lett with the Dallas Cowboys. Keeping it on the ground, and Cougars think they've forced a fumble. Officiating crew agrees with them. So we have back-to-back fumbles, and now the Cougars get the ball back at the 40-yard line.
There it is again. Running the keeper is Beck. And then he gets stripped. The ball comes loose. Hawthorne has it at their own 40. So after an interception, and they give it right back, then the defense stands and makes a strip, and they've got it back. Let's see if Magic redeems himself.
Cougar ball at the 40-yard line. Drops back to pass, pulls it down, has some running room, takes off, heads up the field, meets one of the defenders head on, picks up about 9, maybe a little more. He's out near the 30-yard line. And got a shaken up Raider on the field, gets up under his own steam.
That was
Maybe
a big hit by Greg Herrera, the linebacker. Take another look as he scrambles, opens up on the left side, and then Herrera comes and hits him head on right there and drops him.
With a little bit of help, of course.
He gets a couple more to pile on.
So it's a second down and short for the Cougars. Handing it off to Gaines. Gaines picks up the first down as he knifes his way through the middle of the line. Knocked down after he crosses the 30, down at about the 29-yard line. So they'll move the chains for the Cougars. Right now, they trail by a margin of 10-7, but this second quarter is looking pretty good for them.
This is a situation where they've used Gaines to throw a halfback option. Because I was looking up some numbers on Gaines, 8 of 15 passing for 153 yards. More importantly, using him as a passer has surprised the defense, and he has thrown 2 touchdown passes.
Well, I think, and that's a very good observation, Michael. One of the things that you've seen that have played in the Cougars' favor in this game and throughout the course of the season is the ability, that penalty going against the Cougars as well. It's a 5-yard one. Is the fact that they do have a passing game, a legitimate passing game, that is sufficient to keep the defense off balance where they can't just stack up on your running game.
They started out the year real slow using Na'a as a passer, but he has developed into quite a thrower. And then, of course, we saw against Morningside where they used Gaines both as a passer and a quarterback running the option. That's the 5th penalty now here in the first half against Hawthorne.
1st and 15. Na'a drops back to pass, lays it out in the flat. This one's intercepted by Channel Islands. Good return. And they still don't have him down yet. Finally, bring him down right at midfield. And now we're going to have a flag on the play in addition to that.
And that's Jared Herrera playing along with his brother Greg Herrera.
So this has been a mistake-filled last couple of minutes. It's going to be a clipping. It's going to go against Channel Islands. The interception will stand, and they'll move the ball back 15 yards from the spot of the foul.
Well, that's 4 turnovers here in the last 5 minutes.
2 interceptions and 2 fumbles by my count. We've got 6:17 left in the first half, fans. Nice close contest between 2 7-3 teams overall. Not exactly a work of art thus far. As we mentioned, 4 turnovers here in the first half. 2 by each team. This time with the carry, Channel Islands brings it out to about the 35-yard line.
Well, they just used Medueno as a battering ram. Not big in stature, but big in heart. And he'll hammer it away on the right side. They get a key block on Oleose, move him out, and finally it's Kendall who comes up from behind and drags him down. About 11-yard pickup.
So
Look how tough it is on Beck. His jersey is ripped on the left side.
This time they give it off on the right side to the blocking back. Ball comes loose, but it was already down. No play there for the Cougar defense. That was Nick Porter with the carry. So it'll be a 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Ball is spotted at their own 43-yard line. They lead as the clock now winds under 6 minutes. Beck brings him up, hands it off to his second back through, who's Medueno. Medueno takes it out near the Cougar paw, which is situated right at midfield, 2 yards on each side of it.
Medueno for another 4 yards.
So once again, the Cougar crowd, as it goes up and down, those turnovers again deflating the crowd, and they are stone silent right now. First down on that play will be picked up for the Raiders as they take it down to the 46-yard line, with 46-yard line of the Cougars, where it's going to be a 1st and 10.
Medueno at 5'6", 160-pound senior. And he gets upended by Brooks O'Neill. And they pick up another first down. The 46. Keep the drive alive, move the chains. That's all you need to do.
That's all it takes.
They lead by 3.
Controlling the clock. Once again, the challenge is this Cougar defense being on the field for quite a while. Again, they move the pile forward, and they move it forward about 4 yards on that play.
So they're making good use of Porter and Medueno. And when they get tired, they've got Herrera. And Herrera did a lot of the work in the absence of Medueno. 2 games at midseason.
Motion man goes by. Medueno with the carry. Medueno brought down.
Butler with a big stop. Dives in there, trips him up right at the ankles. And that's the play. They need to bring some of the men off the corner to stop Medueno, not let him get it to the line of scrimmage.
Ball's inside the 45. Third down and 8. And now a timeout being taken by Beck. So Channel Islands decides they want to discuss it on the 3rd down play. And while we've got a timeout, gives me yet another opportunity, fans, to remind you about a great community event coming up in the Hawthorne, Lawndale area. That is the Lawndale Family Festival and Citywide Sidewalk Sale. That's going to be Thanksgiving weekend, November 26th through the 28th. Get free raffle tickets from participating businesses. There will be a raffle every hour. Can't make it a better raffle than that, fans. If you're getting a free ticket, you know, all you got to do is go into one of the community businesses. This is being done, of course, in conjunction, as you might expect, with the Chamber of Commerce. Raffles every hour with 3 bands, food, petting zoos, and the big jumpers that all the kids love. For more information, check out the city's website, won't you, at www.lawndalecity.com. Again, that's the Lawndale Family Festival and City Sidewalk Sale, Thanksgiving weekend, November 26th through the 28th.
Hey, I'll be in town. I think I'll head out there. Sounds like fun.
It certainly does, and it's a 3-day event. You already got me when I saw the word free. Of quarterback drops back the pass, lays out the screen, but this was smelled out beautifully by the Cougar defense, and it's going to bring up a 4th and what should be about 4th and 10 actually. There was a loss of a yard or so on that screen.
That's an unusual screen, Rufus. That was set up for Prado, the tight end. I very seldom see a tight end screen, but he feint on the block and then dropped right back as Beck was fading and then dumped it off to him, but the Cougars were right there to make a stop.
There you had a shot of Damon Olaose in your picture there.
Okay, if he makes this, I'm buying drinks for everybody.
Wow.
It'll only be a 64-yard field goal.
We'll see what the flag is. The referee comes over now. Delay of game call against Channel Islands. That should take him out of field goal range now.
He's out of field goal range now.
Of course, they're setting up for it again.
I don't know. Maybe they don't have. Maybe here comes their punter. Now they'll punt. Macias will drop back and the punt unit comes on. They're just playing with us.
Back to receive for the Cougars, Marcus Butler and Taj Johnson. Johnson number 4, Butler number 1. There's the snap. And the Cougars move away from it. Wow, and this thing is taking a Channel Island roll down to the 2-yard line. So an excellent punt by Channel Islands. Wow, what a difference the kicking game makes, Michael. I mean,
well, he gets a 48-yard net on it as we look at the Cougar logo here on the south end of Hal Camp Stadium. 48 yards, no return, 1:45 to go. And Hawthorne's got to go 98 yards for the go-ahead score.
They've got to go 98 yards, and the key thing here, and I'm sure you'll agree, is to protect the football. You are deep in your own territory. Matter of fact, you're in danger of a safety. There are a lot of things that you don't want to have happen here. But Cougars are a good football team. They're well coached. There you see Beck, who's their quarterback. Now drops back the pass, just lays one up. And that one's nearly intercepted by Chris Torres.
It was intended for Bernard, but it was thrown over his outside shoulder. He was looking over the inside. That pass serves no purpose at all when you throw it up for grabs and you're throwing from your end zone. That's,
exactly.
Anybody can go for that. And it's thrown to the outside. If you're going to throw to the inside, let him have a break on it and beat the guy.
I agree with you 100%, Michael. Exactly my thoughts. I mean, you got to speed up the field. And stay right where you are, fans, as we've got 1:39 left here. Second down play for the Cougars. This time they give it off to Gaines. Gaines picks up some running room, gets it out to the 5, the 6. Still inbounds. Gaines may have a first down.
Looked like he stepped out at the 8, but he didn't. He stayed inbounds and cut it up close to the first down. Stops the clock, 1:28 to go.
And that means, fans, you're only a minute 28. Let's go to this replay
He
first.
gets lead blocks. Johnson has to hold up, otherwise he commits a clip. Here's where he looked like he stepped out of bounds, but he was well in. And finally, looks like Beck, the quarterback, who's the strong safety, makes the tackle.
And it is a first down for the Cougars. So Alex Gain does the job of any good running back when their team is backed up against the goal line, gives them some breathing room. Naha now brings them up to the line of scrimmage. Gains the deep back. They give it to Gaines again. Knocked off his feet, but not until after he gets out near the 20-yard line.
He picks up another 60.
Now they're running that clock fast, man, because they want to get to Brandon Nash, our sideline reporter. Cougars only have, I believe, one timeout left. That's what the scoreboard shows. So if they're going to run it, they need to get this. I don't understand. Maybe the Cougars didn't give up on it, but They burn a lot of time in bringing them up to the line of scrimmage. We're now under 30 seconds. And apparently the game plan is, let's get out of here with what we have. They throw a pass out in the flat. That's Marcus Butler. That falls incomplete as Butler drops it.
Yeah, Butler looked upfield before he had the ball, took his eye off it, and drops it. Otherwise, he had plenty of open space ahead of him.
Well, a lot of wasted time on that play before the Cougars got underway. I'm not sure what the strategy was there.
Well, they've thrown the ball twice now here, starting at their own 2-yard line. Advanced to about the 19.
Perhaps playing it a bit safe, maybe even some would consider too safely. I thought they had this team on their heels just a little bit, and if he stayed in attack mode, maybe been able to do something. Gaines brought it down like he was going to pass. Shoestring tackle there by the Channel Island defender. We've got about 9.9 seconds left, considering the fact that we've had 4 turnovers thus far, and Cougar field position as they elect to use their final timeout now.
Well, he picks up 10 yards and gets a first down. 99 on the clock.
Fans, we're going to take a quick break on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. As we come back to live action, we're still in the timeout. As you can see, we got 9.9 seconds left. Your thoughts, Michael, about what the Cougars might be thinking here? Of course, we know that.
Well, right now, I'm just going to kneel down, run out the clock, get back in halftime and regroup. Talk to them about avoiding penalties and making the big mistakes. Go back to the basics. Run the ball with Gaines. Throw the short passes with Na'a. And play some solid defense to stop Madueno.
I agree with you. If we weren't going to attack them with a minute left and the ball, and you just picked up a first down, why attack now and risk the turnover? You've worked too hard to get in this position. Best thing to do is to take your winnings and go home sometimes.
Well, he brings trips out on the side.
Pass in the flat to Alex Gaines. Gaines turns it up. If Gaines doesn't get out of bounds or get stopped, this may be the last play of the first half. Gaines still going. Gives the crowd a bit of a rise. There's no time left on the clock, son. That's the end of the first half, but not until after a huge carry by Alex Gaines. That'll help his stats. Won't change the first quarter situation, the first half situation. And of course, the first half situation is this, fans. The Raiders of Channel Islands visiting from Ventura County. Bit of a road trip for them, but we made the same one last year when we went up that way. So they come down here right now. They're leading by a margin of 10-7 over these Cougars at Halcap Field on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Let's go to Brandon Nash now, sideline.
Thanks a lot, Rufus. This is what you call classic high school football. Both teams got their star players going both ways. Linemen coming out playing fullback, quarterbacks out here playing linebacker. That has been the key to this game so far, and you know what? It's been a defensive struggle. Both teams trying to go back and forth, not a whole lot of offensive productivity. The biggest key right now has been the turnovers for both sides. 2 for Hawthorne, 2 for the Raiders. They've been kind of going at it back and forth, which has led to a field goal for the Raiders, like I talked about earlier. That's where the difference in the game is at right now. Coach O'Telling, very intense on the sideline. He's screaming at his players, trying to get them psyched up on the sidelines. That's going to be the difference in this game. They're expecting a lot of big things out of Aniaku Na'a. Not what we expected so far, not so much on offense, a whole lot on defense. We should expect to see a lot of intensity coming out here in the second half. Hawthorne, 6 penalties, the Raiders only 3. That just might be the difference. Just like I talked about last week, the keys to victory, special teams play, turnovers, and penalties. We should see what both teams come out with in the second half, see if Hawthorne can get this thing swinging their way. I'm excited to see what happens later on in the game. Back to you guys upstairs for the halftime.
All right, thanks a lot, Brandon Nash. And as we go to halftime on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, our halftime score, Channel Islands 10, Hawthorne Cougars 7. We'll join you for a second half action at the top of the third quarter, fans. All right, fans, we're back for second half action on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 here at Hellcat Field. This first round CIF Southern Section Division 4 playoff game being hosted by the Cougars, and quite frankly, they're doing a little too good a job of being a host. They've allowed their guests to come in here, take the halftime lead at 10-7. It was a penalty and turnover marred first half, as we saw 4 turnovers in total, 2 by each team, fumbles, interceptions, you name it, turnovers that led to other turnovers, a whole bunch of things. But having said all that, no matter how you slice it, the Cougars are in the thick of it at 10-7. Of course, the winner here moves on. This is one and done football, fans. You know that. This is playoff football. There are no tomorrows. You either get it done tonight or you wait until next year. So having said that, the Cougars will have the advantage when they do take the field, and we're waiting for the team now to do so. When they take the field, they'll be receiving to start the second half. So they'll have the first crack at it, an opportunity to establish some early second half momentum, get the crowd back into it. Crowds have been in and out of it. They've been waiting for the big play. Every big play brings them back in. Then a turnover takes them back out of it. So if the Cougars can get them behind them, as we watch some of the Cougar faithful there. And now we see the Cougars come out, taking the field, led by Vuna Tuialamaka. That's number 45, boy, the big fullback there. And he's going to break through the banner first as the other Cougars come out to join him now. So, Michael, your assessment of what the Cougars will need to do here in the second half if they expect to keep their season alive another week?
Well, they've got to shut down Medueno. Medueno in the first half had 15 carries for 53 yards and 1 touchdown. Beck, they've pretty much kept him in control. He's 4 of 8 for 29 yards. So they need to avoid letting Medueno break the big one and see if they can do a little ball control of their own, like what they did against Beverly Hills, where they controlled that third quarter clock and came all the way down. In the first half, Alex Gaines had 8 carries for 58 yards. Tom? So they'll receive this kickoff to start the second half as Perez leads them out. And penalties and turnovers that we talked about and Brandon emphasized in halftime. Coach Art, I'm sure, took them to task, said it's a win or go home, and right now they trail 10-7. That's well within a field goal to tie and a touchdown to take the lead. So what looked like on paper as a lopsided Channel Islands could at least have 2 more scores. Hawthorne has been able to avoid giving up that second touchdown.
Well, I got to say to you, Michael, as I watch the Cougars take the field and do the ceremonial breaking through the banner and all that stuff, I wasn't particularly impressed with their body language. The body language still doesn't show that there's the required level of intensity and enthusiasm to compete in the playoffs. I mean, they kind of walked back to the sideline. Oh, okay, well, we got that done. And let's get ready and go out. You'd expect guys to come out pumped up, yelling, screaming, bouncing off each other and so forth. And that just hasn't happened yet.
Exactly, especially when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. If you can't get fired up for the first round of the playoffs and the first time your school has hosted a playoff game in 6 years, I mean, you've just got to be emotional, bouncing off the walls. And they didn't have that in the first quarter. They put it together somewhat in the second quarter. We'll see what they do here to start the third.
There's a pitch back to Gaines on the first play from scrimmage here in the second half. Gaines is going to take it out, pick up about 4 on the carry as he gets out to about the 24-yard line.
And again, this Channel Islands Raiders give up an average of 12 points a game. So scores are going to be few and far between.
So it's a 2nd down and 6 now. Fans, we just started second half action here. Still lots of football time left. Under center. Hands it off to Tui Alamaka. Tui Alamaka gets knocked back for maybe a 2-yard loss on the play.
Well, this is a swarming defense. That tackle's made by Gerard Herrera, and along with his brother Greg Herrera, who's the strong safety. They're quite a defensive foe. Here's our referee, Jim Steele, conferring to see what the call is. 6 penalties were costly, along with the 4 turnovers, 2 on each team in the first half.
And they're going to mark this one off against the Cougars, pinning them deep in their own territory now, making it a 2nd and long. Cougars needing to get out to the 30.
That's a holding call.
They take it back to the 13-yard line. They call it a 2nd and 16. Drops back, looks to pass, throws it over the middle, nearly intercepted. That one intended initially for Jackson, number 23.
And he threw right into double coverage. Xavier Jackson, you can see here. Jackson comes across the middle. There's the double coverage right there, and then it's tipped, and the linebacker dropping back almost picks it off.
Channel Islands reading pass on that play all along. Now it's a 3rd, same 16. Almost for sure a passing down now, as Channel Islands has 1, 2, 3, 4 guys back in the defensive backfield. They throw something a little different at him. They give it to Gaines. Gaines still on his feet. That may be a late hit there. No call. Well, I thought he could have got the benefit of that. Looks like he picked up the 1st down anyway, and he did. So.
Well, they run a delay handoff to Gaines on a drop play, and he picks up 18 yards plus and a 1st down. He gets a big opening. It's a perfectly timed play. And when he gets hit by the initial tackler, he carries him another 3 yards as Gerard Herrera misses the tackle. His helmet comes off.
Now Naha has options. Naha pulls it down himself at the 30, crosses the 35, bulls to the 40. Looks like he may have stepped out of bounds. As the ref side judge is going to say he stepped out right at the 40.
So he's going to pick up 9, and it'll bring up a 2nd, and they'll be short by about a yard. They're going to give him the 1st down. Okay.
Well, exactly right. So that means they give him a gain of 10 on the play. This is the opening drive of the second half, fans. This is the Cougars' money drive right here. This is the one that you want to take advantage of. You're coming out the locker room, supposedly with your momentum, with your instructions. You're fired up, and you get the ball first with a fresh offense on the field. This is where you want to take advantage of it. Cougars so far being able to do that as they've picked up a couple of first downs.
Reminiscent of the play against Beverly Hills, where they had ball control for about 9.5 minutes, if you recall, in that third quarter.
Gaines being helped to his feet by a couple of teammates. He's hitting the hole with a burst of energy.
Yeah, they're showing a lot more life now in this drive, and a 3-yard pickup there for Gaines gives Gaines well over 65 yards on the evening.
Ball out near the 45. A first down, in case you're wondering, is at the 47 of Channel Islands. So they've got to cross midfield to pick up the first down.
Alex Gaines' best rushing game was 180 yards against South Torrance earlier this season.
Fake the handoff to Gaines. Here's a pass to Vona Tuialamaka. Tuialamaka spins off. Looks like he may have enough for the first down, but we've got a flag thrown on the play by the side judge.
Flag is thrown at about the 48. Got an illegal receiver against Hawthorne downfield. Ineligible. Let's take a look. May have been that Tuialamaka had lined up because he's the only receiver in our camera from the linemen. They're still all back behind the line of scrimmage. He might have lined up, made him illegal.
It could have been, and you're right, that's the call, though.
Got to have 7 on the line of scrimmage. Takes a nice gain away and a first down, close to a first down.
Makes it a 2nd down and 12 instead.
Art wants a clarification. He comes to the side judge and explained to him what was off on the formation. Where did he line up? Because if he was made ineligible, it's because somebody else stepped off the line of scrimmage.
And now they're marking off the 10-yard infraction. So, wow, that's going to make it a 2nd and 22. So they've got to go from the 28 and cross midfield in order to pick up the first.
They got double penalties on that play. Got an illegal receiver downfield. And then they got a 2nd penalty.
Which, and I think this is what, we don't have a shot of it, but Coach Al Telling is on the sideline asking that very question. And you're right. I mean, we're all sitting here. We thought that the first infraction had been penalized, and of course we never got a flag or an explanation of what the 2nd infraction was that would have taken them all the way back to the 28-yard line, and now the officials huddle up to see if they can't get this straightened out.
Yeah, there's Jim Steele with his crew.
Apparently they're satisfied that we've got it right. Let's play ball.
And it's 3rd down. So they're also going to lose a down on the play.
Coach O'Telling still in the ear of the side judge nearest him. Nah, under center. Boy, 3rd and a whole lot here. Nah pulls it down. Nah lets it go. Hits his receiver, who's pushed back. Had to come back to it, and I think when they do spot it, they're going to be short by about 3 yards on the play.
So they're going to pick up 15 yards there. Tuialamaka makes the catch. And they reach the 42, but they'll still be short with 4th and about 4, maybe 5 on the play. Here's another look. Steps up in the pocket. Sees Tuialamaka in midfield. Makes the catch. He comes back. That's what the receiver has to do. And you see the quarterback scrambling. You have to come back to the ball, and he makes a catch at the 50. They only give him progress to the 47, and they're going to fake it on 4th down and throw for first down. So Gaines has the completion, and he completes it to Kendall, it looked like.
So Cougars go into their trick playbook and pull out one that keeps their drive alive here in the 2nd half. Exactly 8 minutes on the clock, fans. We've had 4 minutes of game action thus far here in the 3rd quarter. Cougars with the ball spotted right at the Channel Island 40-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10.
Well, they gamble, they go for it, they surprise everybody, including us. And it wasn't a great pass, but I gave you some of Gaines' numbers. Now he's 9 of 16 passing.
Swing pass over to Marcus Butler. Butler picks up about 7.
Well, that's a great solo effort by Marcus Butler.
As he takes it down to the 35-yard line.
So this will be the 10th play on the drive. They've taken that opening kickoff. Here's almost a block in the back. Coming up was Xavier Jackson to give some assistance, but luckily it was near the line of scrimmage. The official didn't see it.
Atofu in the backfield with Atofu with the carry. Vincent Atofu, that is, 6 foot, 225-pound senior.
Well, the Cougars used a variety of running backs tonight. Atofu, Tuialamaka gains. Of course, Naha's had to carry.
Gaines comes off, as you see there on your screen, replacing him.
And Fanua, of course, opened the game at tailback. That was a big surprise for us.
Exactly. And I think one of the reasons teams do this is because there's not much scouting opportunity. I mean, let's face it, you're playing teams that you know very little about. There is the required exchange of game tape under CIF rules. That takes place, but what you try to do, and now let's see, did they get the timeout called? No, they didn't. Delay a game. That's going to back them up 5 yards. So, again, a bit of a breakdown on the part of the Cougars. They're not being able to get it in, get the play in time, and now Gaines comes back on the field as Tuialamaka and a couple of other teammates go off.
So they take their big unit out, bring in their speed unit, and that changed the whole play selection. And they're going to run 3 wide receivers trips on the right side.
3rd and 7 for the Cougars. I would think this is 4th down territory. There's a pass laid out. That falls incomplete. Cougar fans probably wondering, okay, well, we saw on a very similar play an interference called against Butler. Seemed like the same play, same call would have been warranted there. They don't get it. It's a 4th down play, 4th and 7.
And Greg Herrera comes up from strong safety, gets right in the middle of the action, and knocks it away from Jackson.
And actually, it was a clean defensive play. I'm just saying that's what the fans say when they see it, though. It all looks the same to them.
Well, let's see on 4th down now. What do we think about another fake, Rufus?
Well, let's stay ready for it.
4th and 7 now.
Because I think it's 4 down territory, and there it is. Gaines turns it up. Boy, it's going to be stopped real short of it. They gave it a try, but stopped about 4 yards short.
I think they were looking for it this time, and the up man is Gaines. All you have to do is key on him, put a spy on him, make sure he doesn't go anywhere. He threw a pass last time. This time he gets it to the 35, so they turn it over. They had a nice drive. Took about 10 plays, but again, they shoot themselves in the foot with penalties.
They eat up about 6 minutes. In fact, they ate up 6 minutes, 3 seconds of 3rd quarter action. It's 5:57 left in the 3rd quarter, and the Raiders get it for their first second half possession. That's Beck. Beck gives it off to their running back. Of course, we know that's Medueno.
Now, let me give those numbers on Medueno again from the first half. Jerry Medueno, 15 carries, 53 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Beck at quarterback was 4 of 8 for 29 yards.
Medueno listed in the roster at 5'6", 160-pound senior. The other thing, we'll develop the point in just a moment on this 2nd down play. Beck drops back the pass, lays it up, and overthrows his intended receiver, who was Gerard Herrera. Cougars back on defense there. The other thing that makes these kind of playoff games for kids on both sides of the ball and for both teams somewhat poignant is because if you're a senior, this is for some guys tonight on one of these 2 teams. This is going to be the last high school football they play.
Exactly. That's what the coach tries to raise them at emotional level. It's win or go home. And you got to give this quarterback Beck here a lot of credit. He's a 2-way player, and he is tough as nails.
Out of the eye, he lays it up again. And this one falls incomplete with no flag on the play. Well,
he's got a completion.
I'm sorry. I stand corrected, fans. There was a reception. Well, that's one of the few. I'd like to see that replay if I could, because he certainly.
Well, you can see it again. Reyes just jumps inside of the defender and over the shoulder makes the catch, holds onto it, rolls over, and he's got it at the 40 for a 1st down.
Great reception made by Reyes.
Watson was defending and just got outplayed by the receiver.
And no truer statement has ever been spoken. Defense wins championships. Beck with the keeper. Beck turns it up. Beck crosses the 30-yard line before he's brought down. He's got enough for the first down as they move the chains 10 more yards.
When they came to the line of scrimmage, they sprinted to the line of scrimmage after they got that big play. And with Beck being the team leader, he keeps it, trying to run the option, picks up another first down.
Now there's a fumble on the play, but Beck recovers. Beck and Medueno, a little mix up on the handoff there. Beck went to hand it off, nobody home. Ball hits the ground, Beck alertly falls on it. And as you said, Michael, from his jersey, from the looks of his jersey, you can see that he's been around the football a whole lot tonight. And some of those Staines fans are from being on the defensive side. This kid hasn't been hit as much as it might appear from his quarterback possession. Now being strung out. Good defensive play for the Cougars. That's Damon Olaose.
Well, that's reminiscent of what he did last week against Poindexter in Santa Monica on 3 consecutive plays. And Santa Monica had reached the 15-yard line and a chance to go in with a go-ahead touchdown. He chased Poindexter back 3 consecutive plays, and the final one when he sacked him got possession on 4th down. It was just like that, and Santa Monica turned the ball over, a couple kneel downs, and Hawthorne had their Ocean title.
That pushes them back outside the 40-yard line, about the 41. They need to get inside the 20 to the 19 to pick up the first down. It is a 3rd and a whole lot. Olaose coming again, misses him. Ball comes loose and looks like the Cougars have it, and they do. Olaose forces a fumble, and it was recovered by the Cougars by big number 76. We called his name before, Desi Perez.
Perez was instrumental in one of those sacks last week with Poindexter, where they spun him around. Olaose had him, and Perez finished him off. Here's another look. Chase him out of the pocket. Ball comes loose. Perez dives on it, about 270 pounds, and he recovers it.
And when Perez at 270 goes, as you saw him, they were both diving for it. And I think he's going to move you if he dives. Perez at 5'10", 270-pound senior. So the Cougars get a fortuitous break as they force a fumble, get the ball back. And now Naha with it, needs to tuck it away if he's going to run with it. Does tuck it away, has some room up the right side, still on his feet. Finally brought down, but not until he gets inside the 40 to about the 36-yard line of Channel Islands.
Well, he gets a 24-yard gain and a first down. It's a great nifty move. Here's Magic putting on his act one more time, trying to bring the Cougars trailing 10-7, give them a lead.
Deep in the backfield. There's the pitch back to Gaines. Not much doing on that play as he heads into the Raiders sideline.
Got about a yard and a half to 35. I don't want to say it, but I think Beck was in there to make a tackle.
2:19 left here in the third.
Scoreless third quarter.
Scoreless third quarter. Cougars have had a couple of scoring well, this is their second scoring opportunity. The first one went by the board that opened the half. Nah, drops back to pass. Gaines stays in the block. Nah, needs to get rid of it. There's a defensive pursuit. Gets the pass away. His receiver finally pushed out of bounds. Xavier Jackson.
Boy, they put a lot of pressure on him. He got belted from behind after he threw that completion to Jackson. See where they put the markers, he'd be about a yard short with a 3rd and 1. Watch the pursuit coming up from behind. You gotta feel him. And here comes the defensive player. And then he gets drilled from the front and still manages to get the completion off.
So Naha pays his dues by hanging onto the ball until the very last second, giving his receiver an opportunity to come free on that. This time he decides, okay, I'll take the easy route out. Let me hand it off to Alex Gaines and get out the way. Gaines picks up maybe a yard on that play.
So less than a minute and a half to go here in the third. And Channel Islands, the Raiders, bend but do not break. This defense gives up 12 points a game.
There you see our clock, 1:58 left here in the third quarter. Cougars trailing by a score of 10-7. We've got a measurement for the first down. Looks like they are inches short.
They got to go for it now. Fourth and about a foot.
Well, you're right. Let's calculate this out from where they are at the 26. They'd spotted at the 33. It'd be a 43-yard field goal attempt. Of course, they don't even show field goal attempt. They show we're coming up to the line, and we're going to go for it.
Yeah, they want to keep the drive alive. They want to get a touchdown. They're going to settle for a tie right now.
And they go to a hard count here and try to draw them off. No, Naha keeps it. Naha picks up the first down. He only needed an inch. He got a foot. So he had 10 inches to spare, and they'll move the chains on that.
So he reaches the 25-yard line on a quarterback keeper. Again, another first down.
So under 2 minutes left here in this still scoreless third. As you see there on your screen, goes by the nickname Magic Naha, 5'9", 190-pound senior. Cougar crowd back into it now, realizing that this is yet another golden opportunity. That skip pass is incomplete.
I'm not sure what happened there. He just didn't take the time. He had Bernard open in the flat and just bounced it to him 5 yards short.
And as we wind down, still clock stopped with the incompletion, so we're at 1:47 of the third quarter, which can only mean one thing, fans. That means you're a minute 47 seconds away from Brandon Nash with a sideline report on Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Channel 22.
This is a big play here on second down. They just wasted first down.
There's a nice pass over in the flat there. Reception is made by number 44. That's Richard Tui Halamaka.
Now it'll bring about third and maybe a yard and a half.
Gives them a couple of options here. Everything here, Michael, I would think is 4-down territory. They probably won't even attempt a field goal, even from this vantage point or even closer. These type of situations.
So Tuli Alamaka will be placing Simi Cooley as a tight end. They drag him across the middle. They go for the short range pass and now are close to the first down. Third and about a yard and a half.
They give it to Tui Alamaka. Alamaka picks up the first down.
Stops the clock inside of a minute now.
Inside of a minute, right square on the 15-yard line. 48 seconds and some change left.
I'm not sure if Hawthorne's aware that the clock is running. They take their time coming out of the huddle.
We saw him do that at the end of the half. Now they sprint up to the line. Clock still running, under 30 seconds left. There's the handoff to Gaines. Gaines looking for a hole, turns it up inside, gets it down to about the 12. That'll be the last play of the third quarter. So we play a scoreless third. Cougars had some good things happen. And right now, they're in scoring position yet again as they trail by a score of 10-7 on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. I believe we've got Brandon Nash down on the sidelines. If we are, let's check and see. If so, let's go down sideline to Brandon Nash.
Thanks a lot, Rufus. Down here on the field, the intensity has turned up. Coach O'Telling went into halftime, probably screamed at his guys a whole lot, came right back out. These guys are fired up right now. The band is playing loud, the fans are cheering, all on the shoulders of who? Magic Na'a, the guy we were talking about early in the game. Magic right now, 9 completions, 15 throws, 136 yards, already a touchdown. He's leading his team with his legs and his arm. He said he's going to put this thing on his shoulders and try to take it. They've got a drive going right now that should lead them into the end zone, see if they can turn this thing around. Back to you guys upstairs for the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. And Brandon getting a little keener sense than of the spirit of the Cougar team being down there on the sideline with them. Thinks they've got the requisite enthusiasm to bring this on home. Well, we're going to find out. It is a 2nd down and 8 coming up. Ball is on the 13. There's a pitch back to Gaines. Boy, right as he crosses the line of scrimmage, because he's lining up deep in the backfield, he's hit. So, very short gain on that one's going to make it a 3rd and long now for the Cougars.
I'm going to give it to Gaines 2 more times. I'm going to hammer it in there. Doesn't care what it takes. He's getting 2 more carries.
I think, and I would agree with you, Michael. If you're going to give it to Gaines, then I think you need to have Tui Alamaka up front blocking for him. Because if you get him in a blocking position for Gaines.
Well, they're going to put Fanua up there at about 275 pounds.
A little bit of confusion.
They list Fanua at 6'3" and 300 pounds. He'll be the blocking back.
Right. And now Channel Islands takes a timeout. We're just starting the 4th quarter action, fans. We've got 11-12 left here in the 4th. It's a contest in which the Raiders have led the entire game. They opened the game with a field goal in the 1st quarter, followed that up with a touchdown, and that stood until the 2nd quarter. And right at the beginning of the 2nd quarter, Hawthorne had a 13-yard touchdown pass from Na'a to Bernard, and they converted the extra point, and that's the way it stood since the 11:06 mark of the 2nd quarter, 10-7 in favor of Channel Islands.
Well, this is another 10-play drive. It's the 2nd time here in the 2nd half that Hawthorne has put together a 10-play drive. The other one was unsuccessful. Resulted in a breakdown on a fake 4th down, and now they're going to go for it again with a 3rd and goal from about the 9.
And now they've got Na'a in the backfield. They had the backs in the eye. Now they split out of it. They got a receiver over in the slot on the left side. There's a pass to Na'a in the flat. Na'a catches it, turns it up. He has the 1st down and driven out of bounds.
Tuli Alamaka came out of that backfield. He was the lead blocker on the left side of the split backs with Gaines. Just simply ran down and ran a sideline pattern. You see him limping back, but he made a great reception because the pass was overthrown, and he reached and outstretched and made the catch, and then gets a 1st down. So it should be 1st and goal now inside the 5.
Alamaka listed at 6'2".
Well, they turn it over. It goes over.
Wow.
I'm not sure what happened. We'll have to see if we can get another look at it with Tom Strickfed and our producer director, because when he went out of bounds, we thought he had a 1st down.
So that's when Dueno with the carry. Even up here in the booth, they're asking for our assistance in determining whether or not there was a fumble on the last play. All of us throughout the booth area thought that Tui Alamaka had picked up the 1st down. We don't see any signs of protest on the parts of the...
Here's another look at it. Had to reach about the 5 for the 1st down. There's the catch.
Well, it was a third down play.
Turns it upfield. He's got the first down, and then he gets stripped. So they do turn it over. Another fumble. Third of the night for Hawthorne. So they punch it out, and their defense makes another great stop. Otherwise, Hawthorne was first and goal at the 5, Rufus.
Wow.
And we had to take a second look at it. Great job by our crew here for Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable. Channel 22 is we were a little obstructed and weren't able to see the complete play, and we got a nice look at it on the replay. And he was still up when he got hit. Now we've got
an irate fan.
Somebody coming out onto the field, getting after the officials, and they're going to escort him off. Here comes Coach Hotel.
Well, he's fortunate to be escorted off by a member of the Cougar family.
Yeah,
because if you're escorted off by the Hawthorne police, you're going to spend the night in the pokey, and it's going to cost you a little bit of change to get out.
Yeah, but I bet if he took a look at the replay, then he'd understand what happened. Is he was still on his feet, his momentum had stopped, and he got hit straight up, and the ball was stripped away at the 5. And it was a good, clean play by Channel Islands.
And we've got a break in action, Michael, and as we say that, and I just want to get this sportsmanship commentary, and I can tell you as an official, one of the things that you absolutely hate to see is a fan coming at you in the midst of a contest. It's fans, if you're ever at a sporting event, I can assure you it's one of the things that you do not want to do, because that will land you in trouble much quicker than you ever imagined in this day and age. And the Cougar fan understand his support for the Cougar effort, but quite frankly made a very unwise decision to go out on the field and to challenge the officials.
Well, as a fan and a broadcaster, I've always thought that the officials have a signal for every play on a game, but there is no signal for a fumble and it's recovered first down this team, or fumbled and recovered by the team that had the first possession. All they need is something to come up, and I've asked officials over the year, and they say, well, it's just a change of possession. We just mark the ball and point the other way. But people don't see what the call was. Was it a fumble? Was it a recovery? Did it belong with the original team, or did it go over to the defensive team? I've always asked officials, how hard is it to come up with a ruling where they have an indication, you have an indication for first down and all of the penalties? Why not come up with a gesture that it's a fumble?
And now you see the officials sending both teams to the sidelines, so we're totally unsure as to what is going on here. We will try to get some information from the fans as soon as possible. Coach Otelling now out talking with the referee, Jim Steele, who's the man in charge, and I'm sure one of the things that Steele is saying to him and questioning him about is issues of security, among other things, in addition to explaining to him, hey, here's what happened over there that perhaps you or your fans didn't necessarily understand. But while we've got a break in the action, why don't we go to a very important local announcement about some things going on right here in the Hawthorne-Lawndale community area.
Well, Rufus, just a reminder that the Lawndale Family Festival and Citywide Sidewalk Sale is going to be held next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, the 26th, 27th, and 28th. Be sure and get your free raffle tickets from participating businesses in Lawndale. The raffles will be held every hour. There'll be 3 bands on board, along with food, a petting zoo, and jumps for the kids. And for more information, check out the Cityside website at www.lawndalecity.com. That's the Lawndale Family Festival and Citywide Sidewalk Sale coming up Thanksgiving weekend, the 26th, 27th, and 28th. We get ready to resume play, and as they come to the line of scrimmage, here's a dead ball offside call against Hawthorne.
And it was a third and 4, I should say, and that offside penalty is going to give them an automatic first down.
Well, that's 3 more penalties here in the second half to go with 6 they had in the first half, and 9 on the ball game now for Hawthorne.
Bueno with the carry. So Cougars right now needing to do a couple of things. One, needing to maintain their focus and
Keep
mental
the composure.
intensity.
Exactly.
There you
That's
go.
what you're saying. There's a look at the defense. You know, a lot of two-way players are going to be tired here in the fourth quarter.
Two of the biggest stars right there you see. Number 45, Tui Halamaka, and of course number 10, Na'a. Once again, Madueno with the carry on the ground. Cougar defense, he breaks the initial hit by the Cougar defense, gets out, picks up the first down. I tell you, the little guy was hard to bring down on that one. The Cougars had him wrapped up.
Finally, it's Fanua chases him down at 6'3" and 300 pounds. A lot of pursuit, but it's about 15 yards down the field before they can drag that little scooter at 5'6", 165 pounds. Leading rusher tonight, as he has been all year for the Raiders. Over 800 yards, and he had 180 last week with 3 touchdowns against Wainimi to ensure a playoff position in 3rd place in the Pacific View League.
Just under 9 minutes left, still lots of football time. The key thing for the Cougars is, quite frankly, they've got to do all they can at this point defensively to prevent any other score by Channel Islands. The Raiders is their mascot.
Yeah, they're just going to eat up the clock now, and they've moved to the 35. Head coach of the Cougars, disappointed so far in his team's performance.
Not a stellar performance, but nonetheless, the scoreboard says it all. It's still only a 3-point game. They're still in the midst of it. They've got to do their thing. Good shoestring tackle there.
That's Johnson, comes up and makes the stop.
So they spot the ball at the 35-yard line, and from the 35 it's going to be a 3rd down and 7 now for Channel Islands. They need to get out to the 42 to pick up the first. Big 3rd down defensively for the Cougars. And fans in football at every level, 3rd downs are huge. And this one is no less for the Cougar effort right here. Moreno with the carry. He's going to be stopped short of the 1st down. Boy, they're going to give him a generous spot on it. They're going to make it
Got
closer.
7 yards on it. They're going to be close.
Wow.
They're going to give it to him. 1st down. Wow. I knew he was going to be close, but the referee, Jim Steele, gives him the 1st.
And they were very certain about it. I got to tell you, first of all, I wasn't certain that he had gotten it. But the officials on the field knew better. They saw it better. They made the call. And Channel Island gives the ball to Madueno again. And he picks up about 2 on the carry.
Clock continues to run. They're starting to eat up a lot of time now, Rufus. Just across the 45. 2nd and 6.5.
6.5, I think. Clock does run. It's at 6:30 left in the game, fans. Once again.
Boy, Perez is there with a big stop.
Whew.
165 beats 270 pounds. That's running into a brick wall right there. Perez, after a gain of about a yard, reaches the 47.
So it's a 3rd down and 4. Yet again, key situation for the Cougar defense. Last time they had him in this situation. Looks almost like our cameraman, Eric Chavez there.
Eric's down on the sidelines leading the cheers.
Got to be smart here, Cougar defense. Cougar defense holds, so they don't give them the cheap one. They force them to earn it. And
boy,
again,
this will be, if where they mark it, they'll be close. You know, if I'm Channel Islands, I'm going to go for it right here.
they're close, but they're short.
Yeah, they're short by maybe the length of the football. Oh boy,
What?
they're going to lose Madueno. He's down. He lost a couple of games early in the season. with an injured ankle. Now he's down again right here in a critical part of the game. Just inside 6 minutes remaining.
And as this, go ahead, Michael.
When he was out, Herrera came in and had a couple of big games for him. So he may have injured that. Against Pacifica, Herrera had 2 touchdowns, including a 64-yard run.
Cougar
But
defense.
you don't want to lose your top running back, who's rushed tonight for close to 100 yards, and on the season rushed for over 800 yards. Here's the Cougar faithful still with us on this Friday Night Lights here from Hawthorne. First round of the CIF playoffs. A lot of teams in action tonight around Southern California, and 3 from the Ocean League, Santa Monica and Culver City. As Medueno is assisted off. Hopefully it's not severe. They just tweaked that ankle that he'd hurt earlier in the season. Now it's a big play, Rufus, 4th and about a yard, maybe a yard and a half at midfield.
Indeed, a big play. 4th down play, and as I said, it'll be interesting to see what
they're going to go with a punt. I would have thought, well, maybe if he's still healthy, they stay in there, but now without their top back in, they go to punt formation.
Of course, the Cougars need to be ready for the trick play as well. They show punt. The up back for them is Danny Carrasco. He gets it, punts it away. This one's still rolling, goes out of bounds over on the far side. They're going to spot it inside the 10, close to the 5-yard line. So with 4:49 left in the contest, fans, the Cougars are going to take over at their own 5-yard line. They are 95 yards away from a score. And right now, because it is playoff, there's overtime until we've got a winner, until there's a score of some kind. Well, I put it like this, as Cougars right now will accept a score of any kind. Is what I'm trying to say. But they've got 95 yards to negotiate in order to put themselves in that position. Will make it a little bit easier. They're actually at the 8, so they've got 92 yards. So they already picked up 3 yards of what they needed.
Over the middle, nice call. Olease.
That pass takes them out across the 20-yard line. That's good enough for a first down. And the completion and the first down stop the clock.
What Magic does is take the snap, just pop right up from center, doesn't even drop back, and throws it over the middle and has a completion.
So it's a 1st and 10 now. Cougars with some much needed breathing room as they're out just past their own 20-yard line. There's a pitch back to Gaines. Gaines sees some room on the left side. Gaines crosses the 25. So Cougars didn't demonstrate a lot of clock management skills at different stages of this game, both in the first half and in the third quarter. Right now, as you see the clock, we've got 4 minutes left, clock running. Time management is going to be extremely critical to this drive, considering the distance of the field they've got to go.
Hawthorne has 3 timeouts remaining. They're not going to use one until they get inside of 2 minutes. And Channel Islands with 2 timeouts left.
I'd like to have the same certainty as you do, Michael. I'm a little concerned with the way some of the things have gone for them, some of the mix-ups they've had in terms of getting plays in and out, having the right number of people on the field. But your point's well taken. What you don't want to have to do is to waste one at this stage. And let us hope that that's not the case on behalf of the Cougars. They moved the chains yet again, fans. Ball's at the 34-yard line. 3:30 left in the fourth quarter in regulation. Clock continues to run. Cougars have the ball, though. They picked up 2 first downs. This drive started at their own 8-yard line. That's Bernard going in motion. They throw it to Butler out in the flat. Bernard was the decoy. Butler picks up about 4 on that.
Well, he set up that flanker screen. All he needs to do is get that one block to clear him, break him loose, and he can come up the sideline. But smart defense And now Hawthorne has taken one of those 3 timeouts, so 2 timeouts remaining for each squad.
2 for each squad. Gives us a chance while we have a timeout to go down sideline to Brandon Nash.
Thanks a lot, Rufus. Down here on the sideline with senior leader defensive end Simi Cooley. Simi, after what happened last week with the knee injury, what has been your role now with the team as you prepared them for this week coming up?
Well, I'm staying in the game. It's pretty hard just watching them because I ain't in there getting on action like I'm supposed to. But the way I see it is, I talked to them. The second string still gonna step it up because man, they've been busting their butt off since practice, and all they gotta do is just focus and stay on our assignment so we'll become successful.
The one guy that stepped up for you early in the game last week, he said you were probably his idol as far as being his senior leader, Damon Alosi. What have you told him, and how have you been keeping him in the game? He's been making a lot of plays in there for you since all night.
Well, Damon, that's my boy right there. I'll ride and die with him to the end. I just told him because he got major talent. I just told him, hey, you can go to college for that. Damon's like my right hand. It's like my right hand. I just told him to stay on his position because he's a hell of a kid, dude. Hell of a kid.
Thanks a lot, Sammy. Your team is getting it done. Get out there and cheer for him, okay? Back to you guys upstairs.
All right, thank you. Brandon Nash with Simi Cooley out with the knee injury. Cougars come up with a big play on the pass from Naha to Bernard. Now Gaines takes a handoff, forced out of bounds after a short pickup on the play. But that big game, Michael, is...
Oh, that's a big play. Bernard goes and out jumps the defenders and picks up 25 yards and puts it right down to the 37-yard line for that first down before Gaines carries to the 34. Even though the clock is stopped with 2 timeouts remaining. Now they've got about 35 yards to go for the winning score.
Tui Halamaka up front. Naa drops back to pass. Naa has room. Naa lays it up in the flat. It's a jump ball. Come down with the touchdown. But we've got a flag on the play.
Butler.
Marcus Butler with that touchdown reception. That was a 35-yard touchdown pass, but we do have a flag on the play.
Well, they're pointing against Hawthorne was one of the preliminary signals that I saw, but that wasn't the main call, so we'll have to wait and see. Long discussion. Oh, the touchdown will stand.
Touchdown stands as the interference, defensive interference, called against the Channel Island Raiders. So at 2:30 left in the game.
Well, it's Magic Man. He delivered.
The Cougars go on top by a score of 14-10 on Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. It was a long time in coming, Michael, but it finally came as we watched the replay.
Well, that drive started back at the 8-yard line, and Magic Naa throws, and it looks like it's an alley-oop, and Butler goes up, almost one-hands it, takes it away from the defender, Gerard Herrera, and then dives for the score, and that's the go-ahead touchdown here with 2:30 remaining. 14-10 Cougars. Channel Islands lost their leading rusher in Medueno, so the Cougars won't face him defensively, and that'll leave it up to Greg Herrera to come in at tailback and Beck to lead Channel Islands back. If they've got any chance, they'll have to do it without their star tailback. But it's Naa with 2 touchdown passes tonight.
2 touchdown passes. Here's the kickoff. It's finally picked up by the Channel Island special teams player, and he takes it out to the 31-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Raiders. They led the entire game up until that last play at the 2:30 mark of the fourth quarter.
That's the 7th touchdown pass on the season for Magic. And 2 of them tonight, one of 15 yards to Bernard, this one of 35 yards to Butler. You know they're going to be looking for the big tight end. It's Prado, makes the catch. Prado's got a first down at the 45. But it was a 92-yard drive.
$92-yard drive by the Cougars. They did what they had to do on their possession. They're faithful now back in the game, realizing they need a defensive stop here. That pass overthrown by Beck. Pass intended for number 12.
Beck is slow getting up, but that drive, Rufus, only took him 2.5 minutes. That left 2.5 minutes left on the clock now for the Raiders to come back.
Under 2 minutes left in the game now. Ball out at the 45-yard line, where it's a second down and 10 now for the Raiders. Cougar pursuit is there, and that pass, not sure who was intended for. Cougars wanted it intentional grounding, or at least some think it should be. No
well,
call
that's got to be an ineligible receiver. It lands right in the hands of their offensive tackle, Ambrose, 6'3", 275 pounds. He's number 70. Maybe it was deflected. Otherwise, they got to throw some flags on that one.
Of course, right now, the loss of Medueno, the feature back for the Raiders of Channel Islands, looming large for them. 3rd down and 10 play. They lay it up again. This one incomplete. Boy, Beck is throwing some bullets, just barely missing his targets. That one intended for Gerard Herrera, and perhaps their season now coming down to one play.
Well, they got a 4th and 10 at the 45. One more stop for Hawthorne. It'll be just like the results last week at Santa Monica, where the defense made the biggest plays of the night in the closing minutes. And Beck goes 0 for 3. Let's see what the defense brings this time.
So it is a 4th down. Out of the eye. Beck drops back. Beck lays it up. Beck has a receiver, and it is incomplete. And the ball is going to go over on downs to the Hawthorne Cougars. They're going to get it at the 45-yard line of Channel Island Raiders.
I don't understand why you need 10 yards and they go deep 4 straight plays. I'm going to throw a sideline down and out. I'm going to roll out with Beck. He did all 4 just straight back, drop back passes. Nothing with a sprint out, nothing to the sideline to get out of bounds, stop the clock. And none of them in the short passing range. All of them were 20 yards or deeper, which is easier for the defense to cover.
Now, they've got 2 timeouts left, so they do have a chance to get the ball back. Undoubtedly, they've got to play good defense. They'll call a quick timeout after this first stop. There's Naha with it. They get a hand on Naha. They let him slip away. They finally bring him down, but not until after he picks up about 3 yards on the play.
Well, they could have dropped him for a loss of about 5. And the Magic Na'a just stayed on his feet, kept scrambling. He's done it all night. He's one of the keys of the game that we talked about in our pregame visit with Brandon Nash, the unsung hero.
They opt to let the clock continue to run, although the scoreboard shows that they have the 2 timeouts left. Clearly, they'll use them after this down. This is a 2nd down and about 8. First down effectively seals the game, fans, and sends the Cougars on to the 2nd round. Gaines with the carry. Gaines trying to get around the corner. Gaines picks up good yardage on the play. Now I would assume that you'll see the timeout, and you do.
No,
but you've got 44.9 seconds left.
Well, just looking at these pairings, if Hawthorne holds on and wins, they advance to the second round to meet the winner of St. Bonaventure, a 10-0, the #1 seeded team, and Moore Park is their opponent tonight.
One of these
And where
teams
was
will
that
have
game
to go on
played
the
at?
road. If you had a home game tonight, you go on a road the second week. If you were the opponent and you were on the road, you get the home game. If you were at home and you play the opponent that was at home, there's a toss of the coin to decide where the game would be. So depending on, I'm sure they played at St. Bonaventure tonight.
So that
Both
should
home
mean the
teams
coin-
will win. You'll toss the coin.
All right. And that coin toss should take place on Sunday over at the CIF office in Los Alamitos. That's right around the corner from me, Fanzo. Try to get over to see what the results of that will be.
You're going to watch the Raider-Charger game. Then you'll go over.
Oh, well, it's only about 5 minutes from my house, I got to tell you. And so I won't say sprint. I can drive over. If I said sprint, I'd be lying to you.
Get on your bike and just
Yeah.
ride over.
Now, that I might do. And for you fans who don't know, obviously my partner Michael Kennedy, an expert bicyclist. This guy has done it all, the things that we hear, and we'll talk about the Tour de France, and we'll work that up for you sometime. But when he talks about bicycling, trust me when I tell you, he knows what he's talking about. So a 3rd and 3 play.
Big play.
Nah, rolls out. Nah, turns it up. Nah, may have
First
the
down.
first down. And if he does, and from the look of Beck rolling around there on the floor, Beck realizes what this means. And fans, what it means basically is that Beck's career is over, as is Medueno, who went out with an injury. Ramirez, who we called. Those are just a couple of the seniors whose names we've called tonight for the Channel Island
Channel
Raiders.
Islands has taken their final timeout now to stop the clock with 40.8 seconds remaining.
Well, and maybe I was a bit
looks like they're a little
premature.
short because he dived forward, but they've moved the ball back about 2 yards. So it brings up 4th and 1.
Wow.
He was across the 35, and then they remarked it. And that's when Channel Islands used their last timeout.
So they've got 40 seconds. The play will stop. Here's a replay here.
You'll see him dive to the 35.
He has to get to the yard mark. Okay, and they're saying where his knee went down
Right.
is where he was down. So that's
not a bad decision at the 37. No timeouts left for Channel Islands.
Of course, if they stop him on 4th down, the clock will stop for the change of possession. It's 4th and a yard.
Now they send Gaines
Now-
at quarterback.
Now we've got a flag on the play.
Well, it's illegal motion. They had Nah go in motion. Gaines switched positions and came and took the snap and did a quarterback keeper. Now they're going to penalize Hawthorne. Nah going in motion made it illegal motion.
Now if you're Hawthorne, that makes the decision real simple. You pooch kick this thing into, even if you kick it into the end zone. Well,
Now they're saying they're going to bring the chains over to measure. Well, I don't know how you can. Because they're going to measure whether or not they made the first down, and then they'll say whether or not they take the penalty. If they didn't make it, they'll refuse the penalty. If they did make it, they'll take the penalty, and that's what this is all about. Because it was an illegal motion penalty against Hawthorne. You don't have to automatically take it. You can see what the measurement brings.
I think the measurement's going to bring the first down. I'd be surprised.
So now they'll take the penalty. He's got the first down. Here's a great look at it from our sideline camera. Who's down there? Paul? Paul Knapp down there with that?
I
Or
believe
is
so.
that Andre? Alonzo. Excuse me. So there's the illegal motion call. So now they'll take the penalty and bring up 4th down and about 6. So that's a good decision for Channel Islands. And we'll see what type of offense Hawthorne runs. They got so many sets. Now they look like they want to go in bunt formation.
Well, I mean, that was my thought. That was the point I was developing. You can't hurt yourself no matter what happens. Even if you kick it into the end zone, you give them the ball at the 20-yard line. Clock is running.
Yeah, but Reyes has got an 89-yard punt return last week for a touchdown against Hueneme. Just to give you a brief update on how dangerous special teams are.
Wow.
They're waiting for him to draw them off sides. They don't move.
And
now they get penalized with, what, 8 seconds left?
And you're penalized with 8.7 left. They may
still
put
have
a
to kick
second. Looks like they're telling them to put 10 on the clock. That's a signal from the official.
There's
10 seconds on the clock.
They still have to kick it.
Except now the clock won't start until the ball is actually kicked.
Yeah, Reyes last week, special teams resulted in 2 touchdowns, and he had an 89-yard punt return for a score. So you've got to watch for Reyes.
With there are 10 seconds left, Reyes has to make a wise decision on the return. Here the Cougars get it, and they try to run the clock out. Now there's a stoppage of the clock. Boy.
Now they'll turn it over and give it up without the punt.
They're going to give it up without the punt with 6 seconds left. At their own, they're going to give Channel Island the ball at the 47-yard line. If somehow or another Channel Island is able to get a Hail Mary out of this, and quite frankly, boy, they may even be thinking field goal attempt from right here. But I think they'll try a sideline pattern. Everything has to work to perfection.
Well, they're down by 4 points, so the field goal won't help.
You're right. So they've got to go. They've got to go end zone. Beck clearly can get it there. He's dropping back the pass, lays it up, lays it toward the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted by Gaines. And with 4/10 of a second left, the Cougars are going to take over at about the 9-yard line, and that indeed, fans, is the old ball game.
What a remarkable comeback for Hawthorne. I'm sure the yardage is going to show that they were outgained and mostly outplayed until the third quarter, where they had a couple of 10-play drives, one of them unsuccessful, and the second one gets them a score.
And who'd have thunk it that you'd be saying that Hawthorne won? Now listen to this stat. Hawthorne won because of 2 touchdown passes. That was their scoring.
Na'a throws a 15-yarder, and then the big 35-yarder to Butler.
And that's the ball game, fans. It's official. The Cougars have won this first round CIF Southern Section Division IV contest as they serve at home against the game and very challenging Channel Island Raiders. The Raiders, of course, got knocked off the snide a little bit when they lost their feature back early in the fourth quarter. Jerry Medueno went down with an injury. There went the running portion of their ball game. Cougars, as I mentioned before, 2 touchdown passes by Na'a, one to Bernard, and another, a 40-yard touchdown pass to Butler. And that was their scoring 2 extra points.
You know, and this Channel Islands team gives up 12 points a game. You think you could win if your defense can hold the opponents to 12. They give up just 2 more than their season average and lose 14-10.
Tough loss. They were a game team, though. Their coach, Donnie Ray, brought them in prepared to play. They played well. They represented well. But, wow, give the Cougars credit where credit is due. They came in as the Ocean League champions, undefeated in Ocean League play. They've played this caliber of competition before. And as I said, they've got a victory to enjoy, but it won't be one to enjoy long, because I'll tell you, if I were a betting man, I'll bet you St. Bonaventure won their game tonight.
St. Bonaventure's in that upper bracket, and they're playing Moore Park, and they'll have to play the winner of that game. Another thing to mention is this is 6 straight wins now for Hawthorne.
So
you include that win over Morningside in a forfeit, and they have won 6 straight, 5 straight in the Ocean League and the first round of Division IV here tonight, 14-10. And it's a long bus ride back to Channel Islands tonight. The Raiders put up a valiant effort when they lost Medueno. They pretty much lost the rest of their offense, and Brandon will be down with the coach for Hawthorne Cougars, Art Hodling, and we'll have that shortly.
And our partner Michael is here. I've already mentioned to you that we'll go to break in a moment, but before we go to break, let's remind you again, our final here at Hawthorne Lawndale Community Cable Channel 22, Hawthorne 14, Channel Islands 10, and next week's contest location to be determined. That is if in fact St. Bonaventure, and we saw that team last year. So we're ready for the interview. Let's go down midfield or down on the field with Brandon Nash and one of the stars of tonight's contest.
Thanks, you guys. Down here on Hellcat Field, Coach, 2 weeks in a row now, you had the nail biter at the end of the Santa Monica game to finish off league, the nail biter tonight to go to the second round. What are you telling your guys at halftime? Because the first half, it was back and forth. You guys came out with some serious intensity in the second half. What were the words?
Well, we're a second half team, and we came out and played like it. I just told them, I said, this is our game, you know? Here's our opportunity. Seniors, this is an opportunity to perform, and 2 great seniors. I mean, the sign said it all. Do you believe in magic? And the answer is yes.
Big time game coming up next week. You either got St. Bonaventure or Moore Park. The man of the night, Magic, we were talking about you before the game. 222 yards in the air, 32 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Why, Magic Man?
Off the game, and I'll there and championships.
Hey, words truly spoken. The CIF championships are playoffs are among us. Coach, good luck next week. Let you guys celebrate with your team. Magic, hey, we'll see you guys next week, all right? Have a good one. There it is right there, Rufus. The CIF playoffs are here. The second round is coming. First time since '98. The Cougars are out. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to live that dream season, go all the way to the championship. We'll see you guys next week. It'll be St. Bonaventure or Moore Park. Back upstairs to you guys.
All right, Brendan, thanks a lot for talking with Coach Al Hotelling and Magic Naha. Again, we congratulate the Cougars on this first round win, and now they've got a week to prepare for next week's contest. Still to be determined. Of course, it's our desire and certainly our plan and hope that Hawthorne Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 will be bringing that broadcast to you. From my partner Michael Kennedy and the entire crew at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, headed first and foremost by executive producer of Lawndale Cable Television, Tom Strickfaden, along with our camera crew, Joe Shoa, Paul Knapp, Eric Chavez, Jose Bravo coming down to lend his many talents to the effort tonight, along with Alonzo and others. I'm Rufus Washington saying, fans, as always, we appreciate you being here with us. It's always a pleasure to bring it to you. And one more time, let's congratulate the Hawthorne Cougars on this first round playoff victory as they move on in the playoffs. Hawthorne 14, Channel Islands 10. We'll see you next week, fans. Good night.